Try that again, and you're dead. The words left my mouth before my brain could stop them. 5 simple words that should have gotten me killed. 5 words that somehow saved my life instead. But let me ask you something. Have you ever been so exhausted, so pushed to your absolute limit, that fear just stops working? When you're running on 3 hours of sleep, drowning in debt, and watching some arrogant thug terrorize a recovering heart patient, something inside you just snaps. Maybe you've been there too. That moment when you stop caring about consequences because honestly, what else can the universe possibly take from you? My name is Maya Chen.
No, wait.
My name is Maya Rodriguez. Actually, you know what? My name is Maya Sullivan, and this is the story of how I went from being a broke, exhausted nurse barely keeping her head above water to the woman standing beside the most dangerous man in the city. The woman who tamed him. The woman he would kill for. I know how that sounds. Believe me, I do. 6 months ago, if someone told me I'd fall in love with a mafia boss, I would have laughed until my ribs hurt. But life has a twisted sense of humor, doesn't it? So here's where I need you to do something for me. If you're enjoying this story, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this with someone who needs to hear about second chances and impossible love stories. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what the weather's like there. I love hearing from you guys. It makes these late-night recording sessions feel less lonely. But let me start from the beginning. The real beginning. Not the dramatic hallway confrontation, though we'll get back to that. I'm talking about 3 months before that moment. 3 months before everything changed. I was 28 years old and already felt ancient. You know, that kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix? That was my life. Every single day. I believed in hard work. I believed that if you put your head down and push through, things would eventually get better. I believed in helping people, in doing the right thing, in standing up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. I believed my marriage vows meant something. I believed my husband when he said he'd find work soon. I believed tomorrow would be easier than today. I was an idiot. My typical day started at 4 in the morning. I dragged myself out of bed, careful not to wake my 7-year-old son Lucas sleeping in the next room. My husband Derek? He'd be passed out on the couch, empty beer bottles scattered around him like a crime scene. He stopped sleeping in our bed 6 months earlier. Said the mattress hurt his back. Said he needed the TV to fall asleep. Said a lot of things, actually. None of them true. I'd make Lucas's lunch, prep his breakfast for when my neighbor Mrs. Patterson came to watch him before school. Then I'd drive 40 minutes to Sacred Heart Hospital for my 12-hour shift. Sometimes 16 hours if they needed extra coverage, which they always did. Which I always said yes to because we needed the money. But here's the thing nobody tells you about being the responsible one, the one who holds everything together. You start resenting the people you're holding it together for. Every bill I paid, every extra shift I worked, every time I came home to find Derek right where I'd left him, that resentment grew like a tumor. My younger brother Timothy was in his 2nd year at State University.
Pyramid.
He was going to be a doctor. He was going to make something of himself. And I was going to make sure he got that chance, even if it killed me. Mom died when I was 19 and Tim was 12. Dad disappeared when Tim was born. So it was just us. Always had been. Tim's tuition was $15,000 a year. His dorm, books, food, everything else brought it to about $25,000 total. My nursing salary was $62,000 annually. Sounds decent, right? Except our mortgage was $1,800 a month. Car payment, insurance, utilities, food, Lucas's school expenses, the credit cards we'd maxed out during Derek's last between jobs period that had lasted 8 months. Do the math. It doesn't work. So I picked up agency shifts on my days off. I worked doubles. I took every holiday shift because they paid time and a half. Christmas? Working. Thanksgiving? Working. Lucas's birthday last year? I worked until 8 p.m., rushed home with a grocery store cake, and watched him blow out candles with that tight smile kids get when they're trying not to show they're disappointed. That was my life. A hamster while spinning faster and faster, and I couldn't get off because too many people would fall if I did. The day everything changed started like any other terrible day. I'd worked a double the night before, got home at 3 a.m., slept for 90 minutes, then got up to get Lucas ready for school. Derek was awake for once, sitting at the kitchen table scrolling through his phone.
We need to talk, he said.
For words that never mean anything good. I'm late for work, I told him, shoving Lucas's lunchbox into his backpack. My mom called. She wants to visit next month. I stopped. Turned around slowly. Your mother, who called me a gold digger at our wedding? That mother? She's trying, Maya. Can you just be civil for once? Civil. I wanted to throw something. I wanted to scream that I'd been civil for 9 years of marriage, while he contributed exactly nothing. Instead, I grabbed my keys. Tell her she can stay in a hotel. We can't afford to host anyone. It's my mother. Then you pay for it. The words came out sharper than I meant. Lucas looked up from his cereal, worried. I softened my voice. We'll talk about it later, okay? I kissed Lucas goodbye, ignored Derek completely, and left. The drive to the hospital was my only peace. 40 minutes where nobody needed anything from me. I'd listen to true crime podcasts or nothing at all. Just silence. Just breathing. I got to Sacred Heart at 6:30 a.m. My shift didn't start until 7, but I liked having that buffer. Time to grab coffee, check the assignments, mentally prepare for whatever chaos waited. Our head nurse Rita was already there, looking stressed. Nothing new. Maya, thank God. I'm putting you in Ward 7 today. I groaned. Ward 7 was surgical recovery. Usually fine, but we'd just gotten some special admission the night before. Word had already spread through the hospital. Some big-shot criminal who'd been in a fight, got stabbed, and was now under police guard. Nobody wanted that assignment. Come on, Rita. I just worked a double. Which is why I trust you. You don't take garbage from anyone. This guy's been harassing staff since he woke up. Already made 2 nurses cry. I need someone who won't put up with his attitude.
Great.
Just what I needed. A criminal with an ego.
Fine.
But I'm leaving exactly at 7 tonight. No extensions. Rita nodded, though we both knew that was probably a lie. Ward 7 had 8 beds. 6 regular patients recovering from various surgeries. One elderly man named Mr. Patterson, who just had heart surgery 2 days ago, and in the corner bed behind a curtain, the problem patient. I checked on my other patients first. Changed dressings, administered medications, helped Mr. Patterson to the bathroom. He was a sweet old man, reminded me of my grandfather. A retired teacher, widowed, living alone. His daughter was supposed to visit later. Then I heard it. A loud voice from behind the curtain. I said I want a private room. Do you understand basic English? I pulled the curtain aside. The man in the bed was probably mid-30s, tall even lying down, with dark hair and darker eyes that swept over me with immediate assessment. He had stitches across his ribs visible above the hospital gown, bruising covering his arms. Handsome, objectively. The kind of handsome that knew it. 2 officers stood outside his door. A third sat inside the room. Private rooms are for patients who need medical isolation, I said calmly, checking his chart. You have a stab wound to the abdomen, non-life threatening. You'll recover just fine here. His eyes narrowed. Do you know who I am? A patient. That's all you are in here. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe. People probably didn't talk to him like that often. What's your name? Nurse Sullivan. And you're due for vitals check. I moved to take his blood pressure. He jerked his arm away. Don't touch me. I stepped back, kept my voice professional. Then you can take your own blood pressure. Equipment's right there. Chart yourself while you're at it. I turned to leave. Wait. I stopped, looked back. He extended his arm, jaw tight. Make it quick. I took his vitals in silence. Blood pressure slightly elevated, but not concerning. Heart rate normal. Temperature normal. I logged everything and moved to my next patient without another word. The morning passed in typical chaos. Medications, wound checks, helping patients to the bathroom, calling doctors about concerning symptoms, fielding family member questions. I grabbed a protein bar for lunch at noon, ate it in 4 bites while charting. That's when I noticed Mr. Patterson being wheeled back from some test. The orderly was rushing, took the corner too fast, and the wheelchair clipped the door frame to the problem patient's area. Sorry, so sorry, Mr. Patterson said immediately, his voice shaky. The man in the bed didn't even look up from his phone. Just waved dismissively. I helped Mr. Patterson back to his bed, made sure he was comfortable. He seemed more shaken than he should be from a simple bump. You okay, Mr. Patterson?
Fine, fine.
Just clumsy old me. But his hands were trembling. I had 3 more hours left on my shift when everything exploded. I was in the supply room restocking my cart when I heard shouting. Not unusual in a hospital. Family members upset about wait times, patients in pain, confused elderly people. You learn to distinguish between normal hospital noise and something wrong. This was something wrong. I dropped the gauze I was holding and moved fast. The shouting was coming from Ward 7. My ward. When I rounded the corner, my heart stopped. The problem patient, the Mafia boss or whatever he was, had somehow gotten out of bed. He'd ripped out his fore, and blood was dripping down his arm. He had Mr. Patterson backed against the wall near the windows. The old man was clutching his chest, his face pale, his breathing rapid. Where the hell were the officers? I spotted one at the end of the hall on his phone, completely oblivious. The other 2 were nowhere in sight. You think you can just bump into me and walk away? The man's voice was low, deadly quiet. Somehow worse than if he'd been screaming. You think I'm nothing? Just some body you can knock around. I apologized, Mr. Patterson gasped. Please, my heart. I just had surgery. I don't care about your heart, old man. Other nurses had gathered in the hallway, but nobody moved. Everyone just stood there frozen. Sarah from pediatrics had her hand over her mouth. James from the ER looked like he wanted to help but couldn't make his feet move. I understood. This man radiated danger. Everything about him screamed predator. You don't approach a predator unless you have a death wish. But Mr. Patterson's lips were turning blue. His surgery had been 2 days ago. His sternum was held together with wire. If he had a cardiac event now, he could die. My feet moved before my brain caught up. Hey! My voice came out stronger than I felt. Step away from him. Now. The man turned slowly. Recognition flickered in his eyes when he saw me. Then something else. Amusement, maybe. The rude nurse. Of course. He didn't move away from Mr. Patterson. This doesn't concern you. It does when you threaten a patient under my care. I was close enough now to see the stitches in his abdomen pulling, fresh blood seeping through his gown. He was going to rip them open if he kept this up. What are you going to do about it? He took a step toward me, away from Mr. Patterson at least. Call security? File a complaint? I own half the people in this hospital. The arrogance dripped from every word. The absolute certainty that rules didn't apply to him, that people were just obstacles to move or remove. Something in me snapped. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe it was coming home to Derek on the couch for the 1000th time. Maybe it was the credit card bill that came yesterday, the one I couldn't pay. Maybe it was watching Lucas pretend he wasn't disappointed I'd missed another school play because I had to work. Maybe I was just tired of men who thought the world owed them everything. He reached out like he was going to push me aside. Not hard. Just dismissively. Like I was nothing. I slapped his hand away. The sound cracked through the hallway like a gunshot. Every person there stopped breathing. Try that again, I said, my voice ice cold. And you're dead. The words hung in the air. Impossible words. Insane words. You don't threaten men like him. You don't challenge them. You definitely don't touch them. His face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds.
Shock.
Anger. Confusion. And then something I didn't expect at all. His eyes went wide. His breathing quickened. He actually stepped back, stumbling slightly, catching himself on the wall.
Please.
His voice came out wrong. Broken. Nothing like the arrogant tone from seconds before. Please don't hurt me. I stood there, frozen myself now. What just happened? The officer finally ran over, hand on his weapon. Everything okay here? The man, this supposedly dangerous mafia boss, had slid down the wall into a sitting position. He was staring at nothing, his chest heaving, completely dissociated. Get him back to bed, I told the officer. And maybe do your actual job from now on. I turned to Mr. Patterson, who was also staring in shock. Let's get you checked out, okay? My hands were shaking as I took his vitals. Blood pressure elevated but stabilizing. Heart rate coming down. He'd be okay.
Probably.
What did you do to him? Mr. Patterson whispered. I have no idea. By the time I got Mr. Patterson settled and comfortable, the Mafia boss was back in his bed. 2 officers now stood inside the room instead of outside. He was staring at the ceiling, hadn't said a word. I needed to check his stitches. He'd definitely pulled some. But honestly, I wanted nothing to do with him. Rita appeared at my elbow. My office.
Now. Great.
I followed her down the hall, already forming my resignation speech in my head. I'd threatened a patient. Didn't matter that he'd been threatening another patient first. I'd lost my temper. I was done. Rita closed her office door and turned to me. I braced for the lecture. That was the bravest, stupidest thing I've ever seen. I know.
I'm sorry.
I'll clear out my locker. She blinked.
What? No.
Maya, you potentially saved Mr. Patterson's life. That man was having a cardiac episode. Another minute and we'd have been coding him. I threatened a patient. You protected a patient. There's a difference. She sat down heavily in her chair. Do you know who that is? The man you just faced down? Some criminal. I don't really follow that stuff. His name is Dante Rossi. His family controls most of the illegal operations in this city. Drugs, gambling, protection rackets. The police have been trying to build a case against them for years. He was stabbed 3 days ago in a territory dispute with a rival family. 27 years old and already running his own crew. 27. A year younger than me. And apparently a crime lord. So, I'm definitely fired. The hospital administrator wants to give you a commendation. And Dante Rossi specifically requested that you be his primary nurse.
Certa här.
What? About 10 minutes ago, he told the officers he'd only allow 1 nurse to treat him.
You.
Said if anyone else touched him, there'd be problems. That's insane. That's your new assignment.
I'm sorry, Maya.
I know it's not fair. But frankly, we need someone he won't terrorize, and apparently you're it. I walked back to Ward 7 in a daze. This couldn't be happening. I didn't have time for special problem patients. I had 6 other people to care for. I had to leave at 7 to relieve Mrs. Patterson, so she could go home. I had to help Lucas with his homework. I had to figure out how to pay the electric bill that was due tomorrow. Dante Rossi was sitting up in bed when I entered. The wild, panicked look was gone. He was back to watching me with those calculating dark eyes. Your stitches need checking, I said, not asking. Then check them. I pulled the curtain around his bed for privacy, though the officers could still see shadows. I lifted his gown carefully. 4 of the stitches had pulled loose. Blood had dried around the wound. It would need cleaning and resuturing. This is going to hurt, I told him. I've had worse. I gathered supplies, trying to ignore the way he watched my every movement. Like a predator, yes. But also like someone trying to solve a puzzle. Why did you do that? He asked as I cleaned the wound. Do what? Stand up for that old man. You could have been hurt. He's my patient.
So am I.
But you didn't hesitate to threaten me. I met his eyes. You were the threat, not the victim. Something shifted in his expression. You're not afraid of me. Should I be? Everyone else is. Everyone else hasn't spent 9 years married to a man who takes and never gives anything back. Everyone else didn't grow up raising their kid brother after their mom died. Everyone else isn't working doubles to pay for someone else's dreams while their own die. I pulled a stitch tighter than necessary. He didn't flinch. So, no, you don't scare me. You're just another man who thinks the world revolves around him. Silence. I thought maybe I'd gone too far. Said too much. But I was too tired to care. You're married? He finally asked. Why does that matter? It doesn't. Just surprised. I finished the last stitch, covered the wound with fresh gauze. Try not to rip these out again. I don't have time to keep fixing you. I moved to leave. His hand caught my wrist. Not hard. Not threatening. Just enough to stop me. Earlier, he said quietly. When I freaked out. That never happened before. I pulled my wrist free gently. Sounds like something to discuss with a therapist. I don't do therapists. Then I guess it'll happen again. I left him sitting there, pushed the curtain back, and went to check on my other patients. My hands were still shaking. Not from fear exactly. From adrenaline dump. From the realization of what I'd done. The rest of the shift passed in a blur. Every time I entered Ward 7, I felt Dante's eyes on me.
But he didn't call for me.
Didn't complain. Just watched. At 6:45, I was charting my final notes when Rita approached again. You're requested to work his case exclusively starting tomorrow. Rita, I can't. I have other patients who need me. The hospital is willing to pay you double your usual rate. Time and a half for any hours over 40 per week. And Dante Rossi's family has agreed to make a substantial donation to the new pediatric wing. I closed my eyes. Double rate. That would cover Tim's tuition. The credit cards. Maybe even let me build a small emergency fund. How long? Until he's discharged. Probably a week. A week of double pay. A week of dealing with an arrogant mafia boss who'd somehow imprinted on me like a baby duck.
Fine.
But I work 7 to 7. No exceptions.
Deal.
I grabbed my bag and headed for the parking lot. My phone buzzed. A text from Derek. Your brother called. Needs money for books. Also, we're out of beer. Not, how was work? Not, drive safe. Just demands. I sat in my car for a long moment, forehead against the steering wheel. The passenger seat had a crack in the leather from where Derek had thrown his gym bag years ago, back when he still pretended to go to the gym. The floor was littered with Lucas's toy cars and empty coffee cups. This was my life. This was all it would ever be. I drove home through rush hour traffic, picked up Lucas from Mrs. Patterson, who gave me a look that said she knew things weren't okay. Heated up leftover pasta for dinner, helped Lucas with his math homework, read him 2 chapters of his current favorite book, tucked him in, and collapsed on my bed. Derek came in around 11. I heard him moving around the kitchen, the fridge opening and closing. He didn't come to the bedroom. I stared at the ceiling and thought about dark eyes watching me. About a man who terrified everyone but had begged me not to hurt him. About the way he'd asked if I was married like it mattered. I fell asleep still in my scrubs, too exhausted to even shower. The next morning started the same. Wake up exhausted. Get Lucas ready. Ignore Derek. Drive to the hospital. But when I walked into Ward 7, something was different. Dante was awake, sitting up, looking almost normal. Human, even. And on the table beside his bed was a coffee cup from the expensive place down the street. The kind I never bought because $8 for coffee was insane. Caramel macchiato. Extra shot, light ice, he said. That's what you ordered yesterday at the nurse's station. I heard you talking. I stared at the cup. How did you get this? You're supposed to be under guard. I have people. You can't just bribe me with coffee. I'm not bribing you.
I'm apologizing.
I picked up the coffee. It was still hot. For what? For yesterday. For scaring that old man. For making your job harder. He paused. For making you think all men are garbage. I took a sip. It was perfect. Exactly how I liked it. One coffee doesn't undo being a criminal. No, he agreed. But it's a start. The coffee became a daily thing. Every morning for the next 4 days, there was a fresh cup waiting. Different flavors. Caramel macchiato. Vanilla latte. Mocha with extra whipped cream. Always perfect. Always exactly what I needed. I told myself it meant nothing. Just a patient being nice to his nurse. Trying to make up for bad behavior.
People did it all the time.
But people didn't watch me the way Dante watched me. Like I was a puzzle he was determined to solve. On day 3, I was changing his bandages when he spoke. Your husband doesn't know you're working this assignment, does he? My hands stilled. How do you know that? You never mention him. You take off your ring before you come to work. I saw you do it in the parking lot yesterday morning. I'd started doing that after Derek accused me of flirting with a male doctor. Easier to just remove the reminder than deal with his paranoid accusations when I got home. My marriage isn't your business. You're right.
Sorry.
He was quiet while I finished the bandage. Then, does he hit you?
What? No.
Derek's not violent. He's just useless. The word came out more bitter than I intended. Useless how? I don't know why I answered. Maybe because I was tired. Maybe because Dante actually listened when I talked, unlike every other person in my life. Maybe because there was something freeing about confessing to someone who had no stake in my life. He hasn't worked in 8 months. Before that, he'd keep jobs for maybe 3 months at a time. Always someone else's fault when he got fired. His boss was unfair. His coworkers were lazy. The company didn't appreciate him. I disposed of the old bandages. We got married young. I was 20, he was 23. I thought we'd build a life together. Instead, I built a life while he sat on the couch. Why not leave? Because Lucas needs stability. Because I made vows. Because divorce costs money I don't have. I met his eyes. Because I'm too tired to blow up my life on top of everything else. That's not living. That's surviving. Welcome to being an adult. He caught my wrist again. That same gentle hold. You deserve better than survival. I pulled away. What I deserve and what I have are 2 different things. Now lie back, so I can check your vitals. But his words stayed with me. You deserve better. When was the last time anyone had said that to me? That afternoon, Mr. Patterson was discharged. His daughter came to pick him up, a sweet woman in her 50s who cried and thanked me repeatedly for saving her father's life. That man who threatened him, she whispered while her father was in the bathroom. Is he still here? Yes, but he's not a threat anymore. My father said you stood up to him, that you weren't afraid.
She squeezed my hand.
Thank you. People like you are rare. After they left, the ward felt quieter. Just routine post-surgical patients and Dante. I was restocking supplies when I heard my phone ringing in my bag. I usually kept it on silent during shifts, but I'd forgotten that morning. I grabbed it, saw Tim's name, and answered. Hey, what's up? Maya, I'm so sorry to bother you at work. Tim's voice was strained. But I just got an email from the university. My tuition payment bounced. My stomach dropped.
What?
No, I paid that 2 weeks ago. The check bounced. They're saying if I don't pay in full by Friday, I'll be dropped from my classes. It's $16,000 with the late fees. $16,000. By Friday.
3 days from now.
I did the mental math automatically. My checking account had maybe $800. Savings was empty. Credit cards were maxed. I was waiting on my double pay from this assignment, but that wouldn't hit until next week's paycheck. Tim, I need you to call them back. Explain it was a bank error. Ask for an extension. I did. They won't budge. Maya, if I lose this semester, I lose my financial aid. I'll have to start over. 2 years of sacrifice. 2 years of doubles and missed birthdays and exhaustion.
Gone.
Let me figure something out. I'll call you back. I ended the call and just stood there in the supply closet, trying not to scream.
$16,000.
I might as well have needed 16 million. I could take out a personal loan, but my credit was garbage from the maxed cards. I could ask Derek's parents, but they'd already made it clear they thought I was dragging their son down. I could ask for an advance at work, but I just negotiated this special pay rate. There was no solution. Tim was going to lose his semester. All because Derek had drained our account last month to buy some cryptocurrency that immediately tanked. Money I didn't even know was gone until the tuition check bounced. I wanted to cry. But I'd learned years ago that crying didn't solve problems. It just wasted time. I walked back to Ward 7 in a fog. Checked on patients automatically. Smiled when I was supposed to smile. Nodded when people talked. But inside, I was screaming. Something's wrong. Dante's voice cut through my thoughts. I looked up. I was standing at his bedside, had been staring at his chart without seeing it.
I've seen it.
You're a terrible liar. And you're still a patient who needs to mind his own business. But my voice cracked on the last word. I turned away fast, but not fast enough. Maya. He said my name for the first time. Not Nurse Sullivan. Maya, talk to me.
Why?
So you can feel better about yourself? Play the hero for once instead of the villain. Maybe. Or maybe because you look like you're about to shatter, and I know what that feels like. I laughed, and it came out broken. You? You've probably never struggled a day in your life. You think growing up in my family was easy? You think becoming what I am didn't cost me everything. I turned back. He was sitting up, and for the first time, the arrogance was completely gone. He just looked tired. Human. My brother is about to lose his spot at university because I can't pay his tuition. $16,000 by Friday. The words poured out. I've worked myself into the ground for 2 years to give him the chance I never got. And it's all falling apart because my husband is a child who can't stop making stupid decisions with money that isn't his. Silence. I expected judgment.
Pity.
The usual useless platitudes. I'll pay it. I blinked. What? 16,000 by Friday. I'll pay it. You can't just give me $16,000. Why not? I spend more than that on watches. The casual way he said it made me want to laugh and cry at the same time. I can't accept that. Why not? Because then I'd owe you. And owing people like you is dangerous. He considered that. What if it wasn't a gift? What if it was a job? What kind of job? My sister is getting married in 3 weeks. Big wedding, hundreds of guests, huge production. My mother has been planning it for months. He paused. I need a date. I stared at him. You want me to be your fake girlfriend at your sister's wedding for $16,000? Not fake.
Real.
For 3 weeks, you're mine. You come to family dinners. You smile for photos. You convince my family that Dante Rossi actually found someone who can stand him. Why? Because my mother has been trying to set me up with every eligible woman in our social circle. Because the family expects me to settle down. Because showing up alone makes me look weak.
His jaw tightened.
And because I can't stop thinking about you, and this gives me an excuse to spend time with you without being creepy about it. My heart was pounding. This was insane. All of it. I'm married. You're surviving a dead marriage. There's a difference. What happens after 3 weeks? After the wedding, we stage a breakup. Mutual and amicable. You walk away with your brother's tuition paid, plus another $10,000 for your trouble. $26,000 total.
No strings. $26,000.
That would cover Tim's tuition, pay down the credit cards, and give me a cushion for the first time in years. Why me? Because you're the only person who's ever made me feel safe and terrified at the same time. Because when you threatened me, something in my brain short-circuited, and suddenly I could breathe again. Because you're real in a world full of people playing roles. He leaned forward. Because you deserve better than survival, and I want to give you that, even if it's just for 3 weeks. I should have said no. This was every red flag wrapped in a bow. Mafia boss. Fake relationship. Too much money. Too many complications. But I thought about Tim losing everything. About Lucas growing up watching me slowly die inside. About Derek on that couch for the rest of my life. What would I have to do exactly? Attend 5 family dinners. The wedding itself. Maybe a few public appearances. Act like you care about me. That's it. And your family will believe a nurse from nowhere suddenly landed their precious son? I'll sell it. Trust me.
Trust. Such a dangerous word.
I need to think about it. Fridays in 3 days. I know. I left him there and finished my shift in a daze. The whole drive home, I argued with myself. This was stupid. This was dangerous. This was exactly the kind of decision that ruins lives. But what was the alternative? Watch Tim's dreams die? Keep drowning? Stay in this endless loop of exhaustion and resentment. Derek was on the couch when I got home, exactly where I'd left him that morning. Same position. Same glazed expression. For a second, I genuinely couldn't tell if he'd moved at all in 12 hours. How was work? I asked, just to see if he'd noticed the sarcasm. Sent out 3 applications today. Should hear back soon. He'd been saying that for 8 months. I didn't even respond anymore. I made dinner. helped Lucas with homework, put him to bed. Then I sat in my car in the driveway and called Tim. I'm going to fix this, I told him. Maya, you can't pull $16,000 out of thin air. Just trust me. The payment will clear by Friday.
How?
Don't ask questions you don't want answers to. I hung up before he could argue. Then I texted a number I'd found in Dante's chart. His personal cell listed for emergencies. I'll do it. 3 weeks. 26,000. But we need rules. The reply came within seconds. Name them. I typed carefully. No touching beyond what's necessary for appearances. No meeting my son. Nobody can know this is fake. And after 3 weeks, we never see each other again. Agreed. Except the last one. That's not negotiable. Everything's negotiable.
But fine.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Another text followed immediately. An image. A bank transfer confirmation for $16,000 to my account. Down payment. The rest comes after the wedding. First family dinner is tomorrow night. I'll send a car for you at 6. I stared at my phone. At the confirmation. At the impossible number in my account. I just sold 3 weeks of my life to a criminal. For my brother. For my son. For the desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, this would change something. Derek came out to the car 20 minutes later. Found me still sitting there. You coming in? It's late. I looked at him. Really looked at him. When did he get so much gray in his hair? When did his eyes get so empty? Derek, if you could go back and do things differently, would you? He blinked, confused by the question. What are you talking about? Nothing. Never mind. I got out of the car and walked past him into the house. He followed, still confused, but not enough to actually ask what was wrong. I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, wondering what I'd just done. My phone buzzed. Another text from Dante. Thank you for trusting me. I know you don't believe this yet, but I'm going to prove you deserve better. Starting tomorrow. I didn't respond. Just turned off my phone and tried to sleep. Tomorrow, I'd meet Dante Rossi's family. Tomorrow, I'd start pretending to be the girlfriend of a mafia boss. Tomorrow, everything changed. I just had no idea how much. The black car that pulled up to the hospital at 5:30 the next evening was ridiculous. A Mercedes with tinted windows and a driver in an actual suit. I stood in the parking lot in my scrubs, suddenly very aware of how out of place I was about to be. The driver got out and opened the back door. Dante was inside, dressed in dark slacks and a charcoal button-down that probably cost more than my car payment. His stitches were out. He looked almost healthy. Definitely dangerous. I can't go like this, I said, gesturing to my scrubs. I need to go home and change. Already handled. There's a bag in the trunk with everything you need. Maria will help you get ready. She's my mother's personal stylist. Of course he had a stylist ready. Of course. Dante, I can't just disappear for hours. I have responsibilities. I paid your neighbor double to watch Lucas until 9. She was happy to help. He smiled slightly. And I had dinner sent to your house. Real food, not whatever rushed meal you usually manage. I stood there, torn between gratitude and anger. You can't just arrange my life without asking. You're right.
I'm sorry.
But we have 1 hour to get you ready and across town to my parents' house. So can we argue about boundaries later? I got in the car. The bag in the trunk turned out to be 3 bags. Dress, shoes, jewelry, makeup. And Maria, who met us at some apartment I'd never seen before, was a tiny Italian woman with sharp eyes and gentle hands. Oh, Bella, you have beautiful bone structure, she said, turning my face side to side. We just enhance what's already there, yes? An hour later, I didn't recognize myself. The dress was deep emerald green, simple but elegant. It fit perfectly, which should have been impossible. The shoes were lower heels than I expected, comfortable. The makeup was natural, but somehow made me look alive instead of exhausted. How did you know my size? I asked Dante when Maria left us alone.
I'm observant.
That's creepy. Probably, but effective. He stepped closer, adjusting the necklace Maria had clasped around my neck. A simple gold chain with a small emerald pendant. His fingers brushed my collarbone, and I shivered. You look beautiful. I look expensive. There's a difference. You look like yourself. Just rested. His hand lingered at my neck. When's the last time someone took care of you, Maya? The question hit harder than it should have. I don't need taking care of. Everyone needs taking care of sometimes. The drive to his parents' house took 20 minutes. 20 minutes where Dante briefed me like I was going undercover. My father is Vincent. He'll seem friendly, but he's reading you the entire time. Don't try to impress him. He respects honesty. My mother is Gabriella. She's the real power in the family. If she likes you, you're in. If she doesn't, nothing I say will matter. Comforting. My sister Isabella is the bride. She's sweet, a little naive. Her fiancé Marco is from another family. This wedding is basically a peace treaty with extra cake. My younger brother Anthony will try to flirt with you to get under my skin. Ignore him. Anything else?
Yes.
When they ask how we met, say you were my nurse after the stabbing. That's true. When they ask why I like you, say you don't know. That's also true. And when my mother inevitably asks when we're getting married, look uncomfortable and change the subject. Why would she ask that? Because in our world, you don't bring someone to family dinner unless it's serious. The house was massive. Not mansion massive, but close. Sprawling and old, the kind of place that had been in families for generations. There were already 4 cars in the driveway. Dante took my hand before we got out. You okay?
No.
But I'm here. That's all I need. The moment we walked in, I understood what he meant about his mother being the real power. Gabriella Rossi was barely 5 feet tall, elegant in a wine-colored dress, but when she looked at me, I felt dissected. Dante, sweetheart. And who is this? Mama, this is Maya. Maya, my mother Gabriella. I extended my hand. She ignored it and pulled me into a hug instead. Any woman brave enough to date my son deserves a proper greeting. Come, sit, tell me everything. The dining room table could have seated 20. There were 8 of us. Vincent at the head, Gabriella to his right. Isabella and her fiancé Marco across from Dante and me. Anthony, who looked like a younger, cockier version of Dante at the end. And an older woman introduced as Aunt Teresa. The food kept coming. Course after course. Pasta, chicken, roasted vegetables, fresh bread. The kind of meal that took hours to prepare. So, Maya, Vincent said, his voice carrying easy authority. Dante tells us you're a nurse. Yes, sir. At Sacred Heart Hospital. And you met when he was being stubborn about taking his medication, I assume? A slight smile. Something like that. She threatened to kill me, Dante said casually, cutting his chicken. The table went silent. Then Vincent laughed. Genuinely laughed. Finally. Someone who doesn't let you push them around. He raised his glass. I like her already. Gabriella was studying me with those sharp eyes. You're married. It wasn't a question. Somehow she knew. Maybe the slight tan line on my ring finger. Maybe something in my eyes. Maybe mothers just knew things. Separated. I said, the lie coming easier than I expected. The divorce is in progress. Children?
Asson.
Lucas. He's 7. And he's okay with you dating? I chose my words carefully. He doesn't know yet. It's too early to introduce him to anyone new. Gabriella nodded approvingly. Smart. Children need stability. Isabella leaned forward, her eyes bright. How did Dante convince you to give him a chance? He's usually so difficult. I didn't convince her, Dante said. She just decided I was worth the trouble. Was he? Anthony asked, grinning. Worth the trouble? I looked at Dante. At the man who'd been arrogant and vulnerable, terrifying and gentle, in the span of a week. Ask me in 3 weeks. The table laughed, but Dante's hand found mine under the table. Squeezed gently. The rest of dinner passed in a blur of questions and stories. Isabella talked about wedding plans, clearly stressed about details. Marco seemed nice but quiet, probably overwhelmed by the family dynamics. Anthony tried to flirt twice, and both times Dante shut him down with a look that could freeze blood. After dinner, the men disappeared to Vincent's study. Gabriella led me to a sitting room where Isabella and Aunt Teresa joined us. This, I realized, was the real test. "Tell me honestly," Gabriella said once we were alone. "Why, Dante?" I could have lied, should have lied, but something about her direct gaze demanded truth. Because he saw me. Not the tired nurse, not the struggling mother, not the woman barely keeping it together.
He just saw me.
And that was terrifying and addictive at the same time. Silence. Then Gabriella smiled. Actually smiled. "You know what he does, yes? What this family is. I know enough. And you're okay with that?" "I'm okay with trying to understand him. The rest, I'll figure out as I go." Gabriella reached over and patted my hand. "You're good for him. I can tell. He looks at you like you're the only real thing in his world." Isabella squeezed my other hand. "I'm so glad he found someone. He's been alone for so long." The kindness felt worse than suspicion would have. These people were welcoming me into their family, and I was lying to all of them. For money. For my brother. For survival. But it was still lying. When the men returned, Vincent pulled me aside. "Walk with me." We stepped out onto a large patio overlooking gardens I could barely see in the darkness. "My son is complicated," Vincent said, lighting a cigar. "You know that by now." "Yes, sir." "He's also loyal to a fault. Once he decides you're his, he'll burn the world down to protect you." He turned to face me. "So I need to know, are you using him?" The question was so direct it stunned me. "Sir, you're struggling financially. Your husband, separated or not, has left you in a difficult position. My son shows up with money and resources and the ability to fix your problems. It would be easy to use him." My heart pounded. Did he know? Had Dante told him? "I care about your son," I said, which wasn't entirely a lie. I did care. Just not in the way they thought. "But I'm not with him for his money."
Good.
"Because if you hurt him, if you break his heart for profit, there's nowhere you can run that I won't find you." It was said calmly, almost kindly, which made it 1,000 times more terrifying. "I understand." He nodded, satisfied.
Now.
"Let's go back inside before Gabriella thinks I've scared you away." The drive back to my car was quiet. Dante seemed tired, less guarded than usual. "You survived," he finally said. "Your father threatened me." "Of course he did. He threatens everyone I date. Has there been anyone serious?" "Before?" Dante was quiet for a long moment. "Once. Her name was Sophia. We were engaged." "What happened?" She realized what being with me actually meant. The danger, the lies, the life. "She left 3 days before the wedding." "Smart woman." His voice was bitter. "My family doesn't talk about her." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. She made the right choice. No one should have to live this life unless they're born into it." We pulled up next to my car in the hospital parking lot. Most of the staff vehicles were gone. Night shift had taken over.
"Thank you," I said.
"For tonight. Your family is lovely. They liked you. My mother especially. She never likes anyone." He turned to face me. "Maya, I know this is fake. I know you're doing this for the money. But tonight felt real. And I need you to know that scares the hell out of me." I should have said something reassuring. Should have maintained the boundaries. Instead, I leaned over and kissed his cheek.
Brief. Chaste.
But meaningful. 3 weeks, I whispered. Let's just take it one day at a time. I got out before he could respond, practically ran to my car. My hands shook as I started the engine. What was I doing? This was supposed to be simple. Play a role, get paid, walk away. But nothing about Dante Rossi was simple. I got home at 9:15. Mrs. Patterson met me at the door, smiling. Lucas ate every bite of that fancy dinner.
Such a sweet boy.
And the gentleman who arranged it all sent extra for me. You're lucky to have someone so thoughtful. If only she knew. Derek was asleep on the couch again. Lucas was already in bed, but he'd left a drawing on my pillow. Him and me and a big heart. I love you, Mommy, in his careful 7-year-old handwriting. I sat on my bed holding that drawing and cried for the first time in months. Not from sadness, from the overwhelming weight of everything. The lies, the fear, the hope, the confusion. My phone buzzed.
Dante.
Second family dinner is Saturday. Can you make it? I typed back through blurry eyes. Yes. Good. And Maya? Thank you for tonight. For trying. It meant more than you know. I didn't respond, just turned off my phone and held my son's drawing until I fell asleep. The next day at work, Rita pulled me aside. I need to talk to you about something. My stomach dropped. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. But there's been talk. About you and Dante Rossi. Some of the other nurses saw you two in his room. Getting close. I'm his nurse. We talk. Maya. Rita's voice was gentle. I've known you for 5 years. I've watched you struggle and fight and survive. I don't want to see you get hurt. I appreciate the concern, but I'm fine. Men like him don't date women like us for the right reasons. And what reasons would those be?
Rita hesitated.
Just be careful. That's all I'm saying. But I couldn't be careful anymore. I was already in too deep. Saturday's family dinner was easier. I knew what to expect. Knew how to navigate the conversations, when to speak, when to listen. Dante's family was warming to me quickly. Too quickly. Isabella cornered me in the kitchen while helping clear dishes. Can I ask you something? Girl to girl? Of course. Do you think Dante will propose soon? Mama keeps hinting, and I don't want to get my hopes up. My throat tightened. Isabella, we've only been together a short time. I know. But I've never seen him like this. He looks at you the way Marco looks at me. Like you're his whole world. She squeezed my arm. I just want him to be happy. He deserves that after Sophia. Guilt twisted in my chest. He does deserve to be happy. Over the next week, the pattern continued. I'd work my hospital shifts, then meet Dante for dinners, walks, a charity event where photographers captured us together. To the world, we looked like a real couple. He'd hold my hand, pull me close for photos, kiss my temple when people were watching. But alone we talked. Really talked. He told me about growing up in the family business, about the first time he realized what his father really did. About his sister's innocence that he fought to protect. About feeling trapped in a life he'd been born into but never chose. I told him about my mom's death, about raising Tim, about the slow death of my marriage. About dreams I'd given up so others could have theirs. What did you want to be? He asked one night. We were sitting in his car after another family event, neither of us ready to say goodbye. A teacher. Elementary school. I wanted to help kids like Lucas, give them the foundation they needed. I laughed bitterly. Instead, I became a nurse because it paid better. Practical Maya, always choosing survival over dreams. It's not too late. I'm almost 30 with a mountain of debt and a kid to raise. It's definitely too late. What if it wasn't? What if after this is over, I helped you go back to school?
Dante, no.
That's not part of our deal. Screw the deal. I'm talking about what I want to do. Let me help you.
Why?
Why do you care so much? He turned to face me fully. Because when I'm with you, I remember what it's like to want something good. To care about someone else's happiness more than my own. You make me feel human instead of just a role I play. The air in the car felt thick. Charged. Dangerous. We can't do this, I whispered. This has to stay fake. Does it feel fake to you?
No.
That was the problem. Nothing about this felt fake anymore. I pulled away, opened the car door. I have to go. Same time next week. Maya. I looked back. His eyes were dark with something I couldn't name. Didn't want to name. 3 weeks, I said firmly. That's what we agreed. But as I drove home, I knew the truth. 3 weeks wasn't going to be enough. And when this ended, it was going to destroy us both. 2 weeks in, and I'd stopped pretending this was just business. I thought about Dante constantly. The way he listened when I talked. How he remembered Lucas's favorite color without me mentioning it twice. The coffee that appeared every morning with a different note. You've got this. Thank you for existing. 3 more days until I see you. I was falling, hard and fast and completely against every rule I'd set. The wedding was in 1 week. 1 week until this ended. 1 week until I walked away with money that would change my life and a hole in my chest I'd never fill.
I should have known it couldn't last. It was a Tuesday.
I'd just finished my shift, was heading to my car when I saw Derek leaning against my hood. He never came to the hospital. Never. We need to talk, he said. My heart sank. How did you know I was working today? I know a lot of things, Maya. Like how you've been lying to me for 2 weeks. I haven't lied about anything. He pulled out his phone, turned it toward me. Photos. Me and Dante at the charity gala. Me and Dante outside his parents' house. Me and Dante at a restaurant last Saturday. Who is he? My mind raced. A patient. I told you I was assigned to a special case. A patient you're kissing? A patient whose family you're meeting? Derek's voice rose. I'm not stupid, Maya. I asked around. That's Dante Rossi. That's a criminal. Keep your voice down. Or what? You'll threaten me like you threatened him. He stepped closer. I know what happened in that hospital ward. The nurses talk. You stood up to a Mafia boss, and now suddenly you're dating him. It's complicated. Complicated? We're married, Maya. You're cheating on me with a mobster, and you call it complicated? The hypocrisy was stunning. When's the last time you acted like my husband? When's the last time you worked, contributed, gave a damn about anything besides your next beer? So this is about money? He has money, so you're throwing away 9 years. I'm not throwing anything away. There was nothing left to throw away. Derek's face twisted. I want a divorce. And I want half of everything. There is no everything. We have nothing. Then I'll take Lucas. The world stopped. What? I'll file for custody. Prove you're an unfit mother. Dating a criminal, working all hours, neglecting our son. His smile was cruel. Good luck explaining your new boyfriend to a judge. He walked away before I could respond. Just left me standing there, shaking. I got in my car and drove. Not home. Not to the hospital. Just drove until I ended up outside the apartment where Maria had gotten me ready for that first dinner. Where Dante apparently stayed sometimes. I called him. He answered on the first ring.
Maya?
Everything okay? Can I come up? I need to talk. Of course. I'll buzz you in. 5 minutes later, I was sitting on his couch, and everything was pouring out.
Derek.
The photos. The custody threat. He can't do that, Dante said, his voice tight with anger. He has no grounds. He doesn't need grounds. He just needs to make me look bad. And dating you. I laughed bitterly. That makes me look terrible. Then we'll get you the best lawyer. We'll fight this. With what money? The $26,000 you're paying me? That'll be gone in legal fees within a month. Dante stood, paced. There has to be something. There isn't. This was stupid. All of it. I should have known better than to think I could have something good. Maya, don't say that. Why not? It's true. I'm a broke nurse with a deadbeat husband and a fake boyfriend, and I'm about to lose my son because I was desperate and stupid. Stop. He knelt in front of me, hands on my knees. Listen to me. Derek is scared. He's lashing out because he's losing control of you, but he won't follow through. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Because I'm going to talk to him.
No.
Absolutely not. Maya, let me help. You've helped enough. This whole mess is because of you. The words came out harsher than I meant. I saw him flinch, pull back. You're right, he said quietly. This is my fault. I pushed for this arrangement. I made you lie to everyone.
I'm sorry.
I stood. I should go. Don't.
Please. Stay tonight.
Let me make sure you're safe. I'm not in danger, Dante. I'm just tired. I left him standing there and drove home. Derek wasn't there. Lucas was with Mrs. Patterson, who looked worried but didn't ask questions. I put Lucas to bed, read him 3 chapters instead of 2, held him a little tighter. Mommy, are you sad? He asked. A little bit, baby. Is it because of Daddy? Smart kid. Too smart. Grown-up stuff. Nothing for you to worry about. I love you, Mommy. I love you too. More than anything. After he fell asleep, I sat in my room and cried. Real, ugly crying. The kind that comes from your soul. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You should know the truth about your boyfriend. Another text. A photo. Dante with a woman. Dark hair, beautiful. They were kissing. The caption. Taken yesterday. His real girlfriend. You're just the distraction. My blood went cold. Another text. He's using you. Whatever he promised, he's lying. That's what Rossies do. I stared at that photo. Studied it. The woman looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. I called Dante. It went to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. Third time he answered. Maya, I'm in a meeting. Can I call you back? Who is she? Who is who? The woman you were kissing yesterday. Your real girlfriend. Silence. Long enough to confirm everything. Maya, I can explain. Explain what? That you lied? That this whole thing is a joke? That I'm the idiot who believed you actually cared? It's not what you think. Then what is it? I can't talk about this over the phone. Give me 30 minutes. I'll come to you. Don't bother. We're done. The deal is off.
Keep your money.
I'll figure out something else. Maya, please.
Don't do this.
I hung up, blocked his number. Then I curled up on my bed and tried to figure out how I'd let myself become this person. This desperate, naive fool. There was a knock on my door 20 minutes later. I ignored it. Maya, I know you're in there.
Please.
Just let me explain. Dante's voice through the door. I opened it. Make it fast. He looked rough. Hair messy, like he'd been running his hands through it. Eyes wild. That photo is from 6 months ago. Before I met you. Someone edited the date to make it look recent. Why would someone do that? Because my family has enemies. Because people want to hurt me. Because you being with me puts a target on your back. Who sent it? I don't know yet. But I will find out. I wanted to believe him.
God, I wanted to.
But I was so tired of believing people who let me down. It doesn't matter. Derek knows about us. He's threatening custody. This whole thing has become too complicated. So we fight. Together. There is no together, Dante. This was always temporary. I was stupid to forget that. You're not stupid. And this isn't temporary. Not anymore. He stepped closer. I'm in love with you, Maya. The words hung in the air.
Impossible. Terrifying.
Everything I wanted and couldn't have. Don't. Please don't do this. Why not? Because it's inconvenient? Because it breaks your carefully controlled walls? I'm in love with you. I have been since you threatened to kill me in that hospital hallway. And I think you feel the same. What I feel doesn't matter. I have a son to protect. A life that can't include you. Then I'll change. I'll leave the family. We'll go somewhere else, start over. You can't leave that life. You said so yourself. I'd leave it for you. I pressed my hands to my face. This is insane. All of it. Love usually is. Stop calling it love. We barely know each other. I know you take your coffee with an extra shot. I know you hum when you're concentrating. I know you touch your ring finger when you're nervous, even though you don't wear the ring anymore. I know you cry in your car after bad shifts because you don't want Lucas to see. I know you. He cupped my face gently. And you know me. Better than anyone ever has. I was crying again. When did I start crying? The wedding is in 6 days, I whispered. So, come with me. Let's finish this. Then we'll figure out the rest. And Derek? The custody threat. I'll handle Derek.
How?
His expression darkened. Do you really want to know?
No.
I didn't. Because knowing meant accepting what he was. What his family did. Just make him go away. Please. Consider it done. He kissed my forehead, gentle and reverent. Then he left. I stood in my doorway long after his car disappeared, wondering what I'd just agreed to. Derek disappeared for 3 days. Not completely. His car was still at the house. His clothes were still in the closet. But he wasn't there. No calls.
No texts.
Nothing.
Part of me was relieved.
Part of me was terrified. On day 4, he showed up at breakfast. Lucas was eating cereal, and I was packing his lunch. "Hey, buddy," Derek said to Lucas, ruffling his hair. "How's school?"
Good.
"We're learning about fractions." "That's great, champ." Then to me, casual as discussing weather. "I've been thinking about what we talked about. About the divorce." Lucas looked up, confused. I gave Derek a look that said not now. "I think maybe we should try counseling instead. Work on things." I nearly dropped the sandwich I was making. "What?" "We've been together 9 years, Maya. That's worth fighting for, don't you think?" This was wrong. Everything about this was wrong. Derek didn't fight for anything. Ever. "Can we talk about this later?"
Sure. Yeah.
"I just wanted you to know I'm willing to try." He kissed Lucas's head. "Love you, buddy." After I dropped Lucas at school, I called Dante. He answered immediately. "What did you do to Derek?" "I had a conversation with him. That's all." "What kind of conversation?" "The kind where I explained that threatening you was a mistake. The kind where certain facts about his life came to light. Did you know he's been stealing from his mother? Taking money from her account to fund his cryptocurrency hobby." My stomach turned. "How do you know that?" "I have resources. And I used them to make Derek understand that pursuing custody would be very bad for him." "You blackmailed my husband. I protected you. There's a difference." "Is there?" "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you used your criminal connections to threaten someone. Would you rather fight a custody battle you might lose? Watch Lucas get taken away because a judge doesn't approve of your choices." He was right. I hated that he was right. "This isn't who I am," I said quietly. "Who are you, Maya?" "Because from where I'm standing, you're a fighter. You're someone who does what needs to be done to protect the people you love. I just gave you another tool." I ended the call without responding. Work became my escape. At the hospital, I was just Nurse Sullivan.
Competent.
Professional. No drama.
No mafia boyfriends. No falling marriages.
But even that was falling apart. Rita called me into her office on Friday, one day before the wedding. "We need to discuss your future here." "What do you mean?" "There have been complaints. Other nurses feel you're getting preferential treatment. Special assignments, flexible hours, that week of double pay with Dante Rossi." I worked for that double pay. I dealt with a difficult patient nobody else wanted. "I know. And you did great work. But perception matters. Several staff members have said they feel you're involved with him inappropriately. That the hospital is bending rules for you because of his family's donations." "That's ridiculous." "Is it? Because his family just pledged $2 million to our new wing and specified that you be given first choice for any position in that department when it opens." I hadn't known about that. Dante hadn't mentioned it. I didn't ask for that. But you're accepting it? "I don't know. I need to think." Rita's expression softened. "Maya, I care about you. You're one of our best nurses. But you need to decide what kind of life you want. Because mixing with people like the Rossis, it changes you. And not always for the better." I left her office feeling sick. Everything I touched was falling apart. My marriage.
My job.
My sense of who I was. That night, Isabella called. "Maya, I need your help. Wedding emergency." I drove to her parents' house. Found her in tears in her childhood bedroom, surrounded by wedding chaos. "What's wrong?" "Marco's family is backing out. They're saying the wedding is off, that they can't unite with our family right now. Something about business disputes and territory issues."
She sobbed.
"My wedding is tomorrow, and there might not be a wedding." I held her while she cried, this sweet girl who just wanted her happy ending. Dante found us there an hour later. Took one look at Isabella, and his whole demeanor changed. The dangerous man disappeared. Just a protective older brother remained. "Tell me what happened," Isabella explained through tears. Dante's jaw tightened with each word. "I'll fix this," he said.
How?
"They won't even take Dad's calls. I'll fix this, he repeated. Then to me, can you stay with her? I need to handle something. I nodded. He kissed Isabella's forehead, squeezed my hand, and left. He's going to do something dangerous, Isabella whispered after he was gone. Probably. You love him. It wasn't a question. I didn't bother denying it.
Yeah. I do. Good.
He needs someone who sees past all the scary parts to the person underneath. But what if the scary parts were too big? What if loving him meant losing myself? Dante returned 3 hours later. Bruised knuckles. Blood on his collar. But smiling. The wedding is back on. Marco's family reconsidered. Isabella threw herself at him. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. After she calmed down and went to bed, Dante and I sat on the patio. I took his hand, examined the bruised knuckles. What did you do? What needed to be done? That's not an answer. It's the only answer you're going to get. I should have pushed. Should have demanded details. Instead, I just held his damaged hand and accepted that this was who he was. Violence and protection, all mixed together. Tomorrow's the wedding, I said. Tomorrow's the wedding. And then this ends. He turned to face me. Does it have to? Dante. I meant what I said. I love you. And I think you love me too, even if you won't admit it. Loving you doesn't change reality. I have a son, a life, responsibilities. Bring Lucas to meet me. Let me prove I can be good for both of you. And when some rival family decides to hurt you by going after us, when Lucas becomes a target because of who you are, I'll protect you.
Both of you.
With everything I have. That's not enough. It's never enough in your world. We sat in silence, both knowing tomorrow would change everything. One way or another. The wedding was beautiful. Isabella looked radiant. Marco looked terrified but happy. Hundreds of guests filled the massive church, then the even more massive reception venue. I stood beside Dante through it all. Met more family members than I could count. Smiled for photos. Played the perfect girlfriend. But inside I was breaking. This was the last day. After tonight, I'd collect my money and disappear from his life. He'd find someone else eventually. Someone who fit in his world. Someone who wouldn't have to pretend. During the reception, Gabriella pulled me aside. You look sad, dear. On such a happy day. Just emotional. Weddings do that. She studied me with those knowing eyes. My son is in love with you. You know this, yes? He thinks he is. Dante doesn't think anything. He knows. Just like I know you love him back. I couldn't lie to her. It doesn't matter. We want different things.
Do you?
Because from where I stand, you both want the same thing. A real life. A real family. Real love. You're just too scared to reach for it. I'm not scared.
I'm practical.
Practical is another word for afraid. She patted my hand. Life is short, Maya. Shorter than you think. Don't waste it on practical when you could have extraordinary. The speeches started. Vincent welcomed Marco's family. Isabella and Marco shared their vows again for the guests who weren't at the church. Anthony told embarrassing stories about both of them. Then Dante stood. I hadn't known he was giving a speech. Most of you know I'm not great with words, he started. The crowd laughed. But today I watched my little sister marry the man she loves. And it made me think about what love actually means. His eyes found mine across the room. Love isn't convenient. It isn't easy. It doesn't fit into the boxes we build for our lives. Love is messy and complicated and terrifying. It's finding someone who sees all your broken parts and doesn't run. It's wanting their happiness more than your own. It's being willing to change everything you thought you knew about yourself for a chance at something real. The room was silent. Everyone watching him. But he was only looking at me. Isabella, Marco, I hope you never take each other for granted. I hope you fight for each other every single day. Because real love is worth fighting for. It's worth everything. He raised his glass. To love. In all its messy, terrifying glory. I barely heard the toast. Barely saw the celebration continuing around me. Just knew I needed air. I slipped outside to a garden area. The night was cool, stars visible despite the city lights. Running away? I turned. Dante stood in the doorway, jacket off, tie loosened. Just needed a minute. He walked over, stood beside me. We didn't touch. Just existed in the same space. That speech, I said. That was for me. Every word. You can't just declare your love at your sister's wedding and expect me to fall into your arms. I'm not expecting anything. I'm just telling you the truth. I love you. I want a life with you. I know it's complicated. I know I come with baggage and danger and a family that's terrifying. But I also know that what we have is real. And I'm not ready to walk away from it. I have Lucas to think about. I know. And I would never ask you to choose between us. I'm asking you to let me be part of both your lives. Let me prove I can be the man you both deserve. And your family? Your business? All of that just goes away.
No.
But I can step back. Let Anthony take over more. Focus on the legitimate operations. Build something different. People don't just leave that life. They do if they have a good enough reason. You're my reason, Maya. I turned to face him fully.
I'm terrified.
Me too. What if this doesn't work? What if we try and it falls apart and I've blown up my entire life for nothing? Then at least we tried. At least we didn't spend the rest of our lives wondering what if. He held out his hand. Not demanding. Just offering. Dance with me. One dance. Then you can decide. I took his hand. He led me to a quiet corner of the garden where music from the reception drifted out. We swayed slowly, and for the first time in weeks, I let myself just feel. His arms around me, his heartbeat against my cheek. The possibility of something more. I do love you, I whispered. I've been trying not to, but I do. His arms tightened. Say it again. I love you, Dante Rossi. Even though it's insane and impractical and probably the worst decision I've ever made. He laughed, the sound rumbling through his chest. That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me. I'm serious. This is crazy. The best things usually are. We danced through 2 more songs. Then my phone rang. Mrs. Patterson. Maya, honey, I'm so sorry to bother you, but Lucas has a fever. 102, he's asking for you. My heart dropped. I'm on my way.
I hung up, looked at Dante.
I have to go. Lucas is sick. I'll drive you. No, it's your sister's wedding. You should stay. My family will understand. Come on. We made quick excuses to Isabella and his parents, then rushed to his car. The drive to my house took 20 minutes. 20 minutes of panic while I called Mrs. Patterson back, got more details. Probably just a virus. But with kids, you never knew. Dante held my hand the entire drive. Didn't try to fix it or offer empty reassurance. Just stayed present. When we got to my house, I jumped out before the car fully stopped. Mrs. Patterson met me at the door. He's in bed. I gave him children's Tylenol. The fever's down to 101. I rushed to Lucas's room. He was curled up with his stuffed elephant, flushed and miserable. Mommy, he whispered. I don't feel good. I know, baby. I'm here now. I checked him over with my nurse brain. Fever, but not dangerously high.
No rash. No difficulty breathing.
Probably viral. Still scary when it's your kid. Dante appeared in the doorway. Lucas noticed him, eyes widening. Who's that? I'd forgotten Lucas didn't know about Dante. Hadn't met him. This wasn't how I wanted this to happen.
This is my friend Dante.
He gave me a ride home. Hi, Lucas, Dante said softly. Your mom's told me a lot about you. Lucas studied him with the serious intensity only 7-year-olds can manage. Are you mommy's boyfriend? I froze. Dante smiled slightly. Would that be okay with you if I was? Lucas considered this. Does he make you happy, mommy? The question cracked something in my chest. Yeah, buddy. He does. Okay then. Lucas closed his eyes. Can you stay? I don't like being sick alone. I'm not going anywhere. I sat with Lucas until he fell asleep, monitoring his fever, making sure he was comfortable. When I finally came out to the living room, Dante was sitting on the couch that Derek usually occupied. The contrast was jarring. "Thank you," I said, "for driving me, for being patient. That's what you do for people you love." I sat beside him. "He liked you." "Good. Because I'd like to get to know him better. If you'll let me." "This is really happening, isn't it? We're really doing this." "Only if you want to." I thought about Rita's warning, about Derek's threats, about all the ways this could go wrong. Then I thought about Gabriella's words. "Don't waste your life on practical when you could have extraordinary." "I want to," I said. "I want to try." He kissed me then, soft and gentle and full of promise. Everything the kiss should have been when I was 19 and optimistic about love. Everything I thought I'd never have again. When we pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine. "So what happens now?" "Now," I smiled. "Now you help me figure out how to tell my 7-year-old that his parents are getting divorced and his mom's dating someone new. And then you meet him properly. As my boyfriend. My real boyfriend. I can do that. And then we take it one day at a time. Figure things out as we go. Together. Together." Lucas's fever broke by morning. Derek showed up around noon, saw Dante's car in the driveway, and for once, didn't make a scene.
Just asked if we could talk privately.
"I'm moving out," he said. "I found a place. I'll sign whatever divorce papers you want. Amicable split. Equal custody of Lucas." Just like that. Just like that. He looked at Dante, then back at me. "I know when I'm beaten, Maya. And I know I've been a terrible husband. You deserve better. You always did." It was the most honest he'd been in years. After he left, I stood in my driveway with Dante, watching Derek's car disappear. "Was that your doing too?" "Partly. But mostly his. Turns out facing consequences makes people reconsider their choices." "Thank you." "Don't thank me for that. Thank me for this." He handed me an envelope. Inside was a check. "Not for 26,000. For 50. "What is this?" The original deal was 26,000. 10 for your trouble, 16 for your brother's tuition. But I'm doubling it. Because you gave me something worth more than any amount of money.
"What?" "Hope.
A reason to be better. A future I actually want." I stared at that check.
$52,000.
Enough to pay off the credit cards. Build savings. Maybe even start thinking about going back to school. I can't accept this. You can. And you will. Because you've earned it. And because I want to give it to you. I kissed him. Hard and desperate and grateful. "I love you," I said against his lips. "I love you too." From the house, I heard Lucas calling. "Mommy, can Dante make pancakes?" He said he knows how. We laughed. Dante took my hand. "Come on. Let's go make pancakes." And for the first time in longer than I could remember, I walked into my house feeling like I was home. 3 months later, life had settled into something resembling normal. Weird, complicated, occasionally terrifying, but normal. Derek had moved out. The divorce was progressing smoothly, surprisingly. He gotten a job, was paying child support on time, saw Lucas every other weekend. We were almost friendly. Almost. Lucas had adapted to Dante being around better than I'd hoped. They'd bonded over video games and bad action movies. Dante was patient with him, never trying to replace Derek, just being present. I'd started taking night classes. One at a time. Education degree. It would take years, but for the first time, I was working toward my dream instead of just surviving. The hospital drama had died down after Dante's family made it clear the donation had nothing to do with me personally. I was still Nurse Sullivan.
Still good at my job.
Just happier. But nothing in life stays perfect for long. It was a Tuesday when everything came crashing down. I was at work when 2 federal agents showed up asking for me. "Maya Sullivan? We need to ask you some questions about Dante Rossi." My blood went cold. "What about him?" "We're building a case against the Rossi family. We understand you've been in a relationship with Dante for several months. We'd like you to cooperate with our investigation." I don't know anything about his business. "But you've attended family dinners. Events. You've been inside their home. We're not asking you to testify. just to share what you've observed. I'm not talking to you without a lawyer. The agents exchanged looks. Miss Sullivan, we're trying to help you. Dante Rossi is dangerous. His family is responsible for countless crimes. Don't you want to see justice served? I want you to leave me alone. They handed me a card. When you're ready to do the right thing, call us. Before you get dragged down with them. I was shaking when they left. Rita found me in the supply room 10 minutes later, trying to breathe normally. Maya? What happened? The FBI just questioned me about Dante. Oh God. Are you in trouble? I don't know. Maybe. They want me to inform on his family. Are you going to? I looked at her. Would you? If you loved someone, would you betray them? If they were a criminal? Yes. But it wasn't that simple. It never was. I called Dante from my car during lunch. He listened silently as I explained. I'm sorry, he said when I finished. I should have prepared you for this possibility. What do I do? Don't talk to them without a lawyer. I'll send someone over tonight. We'll figure this out. Dante, are they going to arrest you? Silence. Then, probably. Eventually. They've been building this case for years. What does that mean for us? I don't know. The lawyer Dante sent was named Patricia Martinez. Sharp-eyed, no nonsense, expensive. The agents can't compel you to talk, she explained over coffee in my kitchen. Lucas was at Derek's for the night. You're not married to Dante, so you're not protected by spousal privilege, but you also have no legal obligation to cooperate. What if they subpoena me? Then you answer only what's directly asked. You don't volunteer information. You don't speculate. And you definitely don't lie. I don't want to hurt him. Patricia's expression softened. I know, but you need to understand something. If the FBI arrests Dante, if this goes to trial, you might be forced to choose between protecting him and protecting yourself. And your son. Lucas. I hadn't thought about how this could affect Lucas. Would they go after me? Legally? If they think you're involved in criminal activity? Yes. If they think you're just a girlfriend who didn't know what was happening? Probably not. But Maya, the longer you're with Dante, the more complicated this becomes. After Patricia left, I sat in my quiet house and tried to think. Really think. I loved Dante. Completely. He'd changed my life. Given me hope. Made me believe I deserved good things. But was that love worth risking everything? My career? My freedom? Lucas's stability? My phone rang.
Dante.
Hey.
Hey.
Patricia, fill you in?
Yeah.
It's a mess. It's always been a mess. You just didn't see it before. What happens now? Now you decide if I'm worth it. If this life, with all its complications and dangers, is something you can live with. His voice was steady, resigned. And I'll understand if the answer is no. Don't do that. Don't make this easy. I'm trying to make it honest. I love you, Maya. But I won't trap you in something that destroys you. I close my eyes. Can I see you? Tonight. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He showed up in 19. I opened the door, and we just looked at each other for a long moment. Then I pulled him inside and kissed him like it might be the last time. Maybe it would be. We ended up on the couch, tangled together, not talking.
Just being.
Tell me the truth, I finally said. Everything the FBI thinks you've done. Is it true? Some of it. Which parts? Do you really want to know? Yes.
So he told me.
Not everything, but enough. Money laundering through legitimate businesses. Protection rackets. Occasional violence when necessary. Nothing compared to what his father had done, but still illegal. Still dangerous. I've been trying to move away from it, he said, since I met you. Pushing the family toward legitimate operations. But it's slow. And there are people who don't want change. Are you in danger? Always. That's the life. And now I'm in danger too. Yes. At least he didn't lie. I should walk away, I said. Probably. But I don't want to. He cupped my face. Then don't.
Stay.
Fight with me. Build something better together. And if the FBI arrests you, then you wait for me. Or you don't. Either way, I'll understand. That's not fair. You can't just leave that choice to me. What do you want me to say, Maya? That I'll magically fix everything? That loving me won't cost you anything? I can't promise that. All I can promise is that I love you. That I'll protect you and Lucas as best I can. That I'm trying to be better. But, yeah, it might not be enough. I kissed him again. Softer this time. I need to think. Take all the time you need. But time was the one thing we didn't have. The next week passed in agonizing limbo. I went to work, took care of Lucas, avoided Dante's calls more than I answered them. Every time I saw him, I wanted to say yes. Yes to everything. The complications, the danger, the impossible future. But then I'd look at Lucas doing homework at the kitchen table, so innocent and trusting, and fear would choke me. On Friday, Rita pulled me aside again. The agents came back. They're asking about you specifically now, wanting to know if you've witnessed anything illegal. What did you tell them? That you're a nurse who does her job. That's all I know. She paused. Maya, I'm worried about you. This isn't just going away. That night, Dante showed up at my door unannounced. Lucas was already asleep. We need to talk, he said. I let him in. He looked exhausted, stressed in a way I'd never seen. What's wrong? The FBI is moving faster than we thought. They're planning arrests within the month. My father, my uncle, probably me. My stomach dropped. How do you know? We have people inside. Not many, but enough to get warnings. He ran his hand through his hair. Maya, I need you to listen very carefully. When they arrest me, you're going to be questioned again. Harder this time. They'll try to scare you, make you think you're in trouble too. Am I in trouble? Not if you tell the truth. You don't know anything about the business. You were just dating me. That's all you say. Dante, stop. Just stop. My voice cracked. This is insane. We can't live like this. I know. Then do something about it. Like what? Turn myself in? Testify against my family? They'll kill me, Maya. Not the FBI. My own people. The reality of his world crashed over me. He wasn't just risking arrest. He was risking his life. There has to be another way. There isn't. This is what I tried to tell you. This is the life. We stood there in my living room, the same room where Derek used to pass out drunk, where Lucas played with his toys, where I'd built something resembling normal. And suddenly it all felt contaminated, tainted by choices I'd made chasing something better. I can't do this, I whispered. Dante went very still. What are you saying? I'm saying I can't watch you get arrested. I can't explain to Lucas why the man I love is going to prison. I can't risk everything I've built for a future that might not exist. So that's it? You're walking away? What choice do I have? You have the choice to stand by someone you love, to fight for something real instead of running when it gets hard. It's not running when there's a child involved. It's protecting him. From what? From seeing his mother happy? From having someone who actually cares about both of you in your lives? From seeing his mother fall apart when you're gone? From the FBI showing up at his school? From other kids asking why his mom's boyfriend is a criminal? The words hung between us. Ugly.
True.
Devastating. Dante's expression shuddered. You're right. I'm selfish for wanting you, for thinking love was enough. Don't do that. Don't make me the villain here. I'm not. You're making the smart choice. The safe choice. The choice I'd probably make if I were you. He moved toward the door. I'll have the rest of the money transferred tomorrow. 50,000 like I promised. You earned it. I don't want your money. Take it anyway. For Lucas. For your future. He paused with his hand on the doorknob. I love you, Maya Sullivan. That doesn't change just because you're walking away. And if you ever need anything, anything at all, you call me. Even if I'm in prison. Even if it's 20 years from now. I'll be there. Then he left. I stood in my empty living room and didn't cry.
Couldn't cry.
Just felt numb. The next 2 weeks were worse. I threw myself into work, into Lucas, into anything that kept me from thinking about Dante. But he was everywhere. In the coffee shop where he used to buy me drinks. In the Italian restaurant where we'd had our first real date. In Lucas's questions about why Dante didn't come around anymore. Did you guys break up? Lucas asked one night. Yeah, buddy. We did.
Why?
I thought he made you happy. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes timing is wrong or circumstances are bad. That's a grown-up answer. I want a real answer. Smart kid. Too smart. He's dealing with some serious problems in his life. And I didn't want those problems to become our problems. So you left him when things got hard? The accusation in his 7-year-old voice cut deep. It's more complicated than that. You always tell me not to abandon my friends when they're having trouble. But you abandoned Dante. He went to bed angry at me. Maybe he was right to be. I was working a night shift 2 weeks later when everything exploded. Not slowly. Not with warning. Just boom. I was checking on a post-surgical patient when my phone rang. Isabella. I almost didn't answer. Maya. Thank God. It's Dante. He's been shot. The world tilted. What? Rival family. They ambushed him leaving a meeting. He's at Sacred Heart.
He's asking for you.
I ran. Didn't tell anyone where I was going.
Just ran to the ER.
Dante was on a gurney. Blood everywhere. But conscious. When he saw me, something in his expression cracked. Hey, he whispered. You idiot. I was crying now. You stupid, reckless idiot. I know. But I had to see you. Had to tell you something. The doctors were prepping him for surgery. Gunshot wound to the shoulder and abdomen. Serious but probably survivable if they operated fast. Tell me after surgery. You need to save your strength.
No. Now.
He grabbed my hand with his good arm. I turned myself in. To the FBI. This morning. Made a deal. I testify against the people who ordered hits, who hurt innocent people, and I get reduced sentence. Maybe 5 years instead of 20. I stared at him. What? You were right. I couldn't live that life anymore. Couldn't risk you. So, I'm getting out the only way possible. And this. I gestured to his wounds. They found out. My own people did this. Guess the FBI's inside guy isn't as inside as they thought. The doctors were pulling him away. He held my hand until the last possible second. I love you. Tell Lucas I'm sorry I couldn't stay. Then they took him through the doors, and I was left standing there covered in his blood. Isabella found me in the waiting room 3 hours later. Gabriella was with her. Vincent was not. He disowned Dante the moment he heard about the FBI deal. He's out of surgery, Isabella said. They got the bullets. He's going to live. Can I see him? He's still unconscious. But when he wakes up, yes. Gabriella sat beside me.
Took my hand.
This woman who'd welcomed me into her family, who'd encouraged me to fight for love, was looking at me with something like pity. You left him, she said quietly. I was trying to protect my son. And now? After he's sacrificed everything? After he's chosen you over his family, his safety, his entire life? I don't know. Yes, you do. You're just afraid of the answer. I sat in that waiting room until dawn, watching people come and go. Emergencies and recoveries and tragedies. Life continuing despite everything. Around 6 a.m., a nurse came out. He's awake. He's asking for you. I followed her to his room. Dante was pale, hooked up to machines, but alive. His eyes found mine immediately. You stayed. Of course I stayed, you idiot. I thought you'd left. Thought you decided it wasn't worth it. I moved to his bedside. Took his hand carefully. You testified against your own family. You got shot. You almost died. And you thought I'd just leave? You did before. I was scared. I was stupid. I let fear make my choices instead of love. I was crying again. But you changed everything. You gave up everything. For what? For me?
For us.
For a chance at something real. For Lucas to have a man in his life who actually shows up. He squeezed my hand weakly. Was it worth it? I don't know yet. Ask me in 5 years when you get out. His eyes widened. You'll wait? We'll wait. Me and Lucas. If you want us to. Maya, you can't promise that.
5 years is a long time.
Lucas will be 12. You'll be in your 30s. You could meet someone else, build a life that doesn't include prison visits. Or I could spend those 5 years finishing my degree, building a career, raising Lucas, and visiting the man I love every chance I get. Teaching Lucas that real love means standing by people when things are hard, not just when they're easy. You'd really do that? I already texted Derek.
Told him the situation.
He's surprisingly okay with it. Said you're braver than he ever was. He'll help with Lucas while you're gone. You've thought this through. I've thought about nothing else for 2 weeks. And here's what I know. I love you. Lucas loves you. And we're not giving up on you just because life got complicated. Dante pulled me closer, kissed me despite the pain it must have caused. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway. We stayed like that, foreheads pressed together, until the nurses kicked me out so he could rest. The next month was chaos. Federal agents everywhere. Trials starting. Media coverage. The Rossi family empire crumbling as Dante's testimony revealed decades of crimes. Vincent refused to see his son. Anthony publicly disowned him. But Isabella visited every day. Gabriella came twice a week, always bringing food, always telling stories that made Dante laugh despite everything. And I was there. Every single day. Sometimes with Lucas, who decided Dante was basically a superhero for telling the truth even though it was scary. The sentencing hearing was 6 weeks after the shooting. Dante stood before the judge, still healing, and took responsibility for everything he'd done. Showed genuine remorse. Explained how he wanted to build something better. 5 years in federal prison, the judge declared, with possibility of parole in 3 for good behavior and continued cooperation. It could have been worse. Should have been worse. The deal was generous because his testimony had taken down people far worse than him. I was there when they took him away. Held Lucas's hand as we watched Dante be let out in handcuffs. Mommy, will he really come back? He'll come back. I promise. 3 years later. Lucas was 10 now. Taller, smarter, more confident. He wrote letters to Dante every week. Drew pictures. Sent photos of his soccer games and school projects.
Derek had met someone.
A nice woman who actually made him smile. He'd been consistently employed for 2 years, paid child support on time, was becoming the father Lucas deserved. We were genuinely friends now. Weird, but it worked. I'd finished my teaching degree. Started working at Lucas's elementary school. Loved every single day of it. Tim was in medical school. Top of his class. He visited once a month, always asking about Dante, always amazed that I'd waited. And I visited Dante every 2 weeks. Sometimes with Lucas, sometimes alone. We talked about everything. His therapy sessions in prison. My new career. Lucas's life. Our future. He'd changed in there. Softened somehow. Found peace with his choices. Started teaching other inmates to read. Became a mentor for younger guys who'd made similar mistakes. I'm proud of you, I told him during one visit. For who you're becoming. I'm proud of us. For not giving up. The parole hearing was on a Tuesday. I took the day off work. Brought Isabella and Gabriella. We sat in the back and waited. Dante's lawyer presented the case. Model prisoner. Continued cooperation. Genuine rehabilitation. Letters of recommendation from prison staff, from the warden himself, from the FBI agents he'd worked with. And letters from me. From Lucas. From Tim. From Derek, surprisingly. All testifying to the man Dante had become. Parole granted, the judge said after deliberating for what felt like hours. Mr. Rossi, you'll be released in 30 days. Don't make me regret this decision. I cried. Isabella cried. Even Gabriella teared up. 30 days later, I waited outside the prison with Lucas. Derek had driven us, then left to give us privacy. And then he walked out.
Dante.
Looking thinner, older, but somehow more alive than before. Lucas ran to him first. Dante caught him, held him tight, both of them crying. You came back, Lucas said. I promised, didn't I? Then Dante looked at me. Really looked at me. Took in the changes 3 years had brought. The lines around my eyes. The confidence in my stance. The peace I'd found. Hey, he said. Hey yourself. We moved toward each other slowly. Then faster. Meeting in the middle like magnets finding home. I love you, he said against my hair. I love you too. Welcome home. We stood there in the prison parking lot, the three of us, and for the first time in years, I felt complete. The first few months were an adjustment. Dante lived with his mother initially, part of his parole conditions. Saw his parole officer weekly. Started working at a community center teaching kids from bad situations how to avoid his mistakes. Lucas was thrilled to have him back. They picked up right where they'd left off. Video games, movies, homework help. Derek and Dante even became unlikely friends. Both had made terrible choices. Both had fought to be better. They understood each other in ways most people couldn't. 6 months after his release, Dante proposed. Not at some fancy restaurant. Not with a huge production. Just in my classroom after school, Lucas hiding behind a desk with a camera. I can't give you a perfect life, he said, down on one knee. I've got a record. A past. Limitations on what I can do. But I can give you all of me. Every day.
For the rest of our lives.
If you'll have me. Are you kidding? Of course I'll have you. He slid a simple gold band on my finger. Not a diamond. Just gold.
Perfect.
Lucas jumped out from behind the desk. Did she say yes? Is it official? It's official, buddy. We got married 6 months later.
Small ceremony. Just family.
Isabella was my maid of honor. Anthony, who'd eventually forgiven Dante, was best man. Lucas walked me down the aisle because he insisted he was giving Mom away, but also keeping her. Vincent didn't come. Probably never would. Some wounds didn't heal. But Gabriella was there, crying happy tears, telling everyone who'd listen about her brave son, who'd chosen love over everything. Life after the wedding was beautifully ordinary. Dante worked at the community center. I taught 3rd grade. Lucas thrived. We had family dinners with Gabriella and Isabella. Movie nights. Normal problems like bills and broken dishwashers and Lucas's homework procrastination. On our first anniversary, Dante and I sat on our small patio, the one attached to our modest house in a quiet neighborhood far from his old life. Do you regret it? I asked. Everything you gave up? Not for a second. This right here? You, Lucas, this life? This is everything I didn't know I needed. Even with all the boring parts? Especially with the boring parts. Boring is underrated. Lucas called from inside.
Mom. Dad.
The pizza's here. Dad. He'd started calling Dante that 6 months earlier. Derek was dad too. Lucas had decided he was lucky enough to have 2 dads who actually showed up. We went inside to our kid and our pizza and our ordinary life. And you know what? It was extraordinary. Look, I know this story sounds impossible. Nurse falls for Mafia boss. He goes to prison. They build a life anyway. But that's exactly what happened. Life isn't a fairy tale. It's messy and complicated, and sometimes it breaks your heart. But sometimes, if you're brave enough to reach for it, it gives you everything you never knew you needed. So here's my advice. Take it or leave it. Don't settle for survival when you could have a life. Don't let fear make your choices. Stand by the people who show up for you, even when it's hard. Teach your kids that real love means staying when things get tough. And maybe, just maybe, give people the chance to be better than their worst mistakes. I'm sitting here 3 years after Dante got out of prison. Lucas is 13 now, playing basketball in the driveway with his dad. Both his dads, actually. Derek's here for Sunday dinner along with his girlfriend, who Lucas adores. Tim just finished his residency. He's getting married next month to a pediatric surgeon he met at the hospital. Says I'm the reason he believes in love worth fighting for. Isabella has 2 kids now. They call me Aunt Maya. Gabriella babysits twice a week and complains constantly about how exhausted she is, but we all know she loves every second. And me? I'm teaching at the school where Lucas goes. I get to see him every day, watch him grow, be present. It took me almost dying inside to build this life, but God, it was worth it. Dante just walked up behind me, put his arms around my waist, kissed my neck. Who are you talking to? Just telling our story. That crazy story where the nurse threatened to kill me? That's the one.
He laughed.
Best threat anyone ever made. So if you're out there struggling, drowning, wondering if it gets better, it does. Not easily, not quickly, but it does. You just have to be brave enough to fight for it. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this with someone who needs to hear that second chances are real. And drop a comment telling me your thoughts. Do you believe in love worth fighting for? Would you have waited? Let me know.
I'm Maya Sullivan.
Well, Maya Rossi now. And this was the story of how a poor nurse snapped at an arrogant mafia boss and somehow found the love of her life. Life's funny that way. Stay brave out there. And remember, you deserve better than just surviving. Until next time.